So I want to speak about the inner man and why I think Neville in his work has been the most accurate that I've read in a lot of things. But this idea that the inner man exists and that you, the outer man, is a representation of what is actually within. The same idea, I'm going to keep going back to it, is an art piece. The artist takes what's in his mind and puts it on the canvas, and people observe and interpret it however which way they would desire. But regardless, it came from his mind, and it becomes temporal the moment it enters here, just like this body. And I found that it's not so much a thinking problem or a feeling problem. You actually don't have many problems. The problem I found has been one of acceptance. I find that acceptance seems to be the biggest issue for all of us. And there's one thing that I think must be accepted for us to feel whole. And that requires the identification with the inner man. You see, the inner man lives in a world called, we'll call it imagination. But in this world, there's all these things happening. But in this world, the inner man walks in it, and people and scenarios and thoughts reflect him. He is the reality itself in this world. So it's orchestrated all by him. And everybody in this inner world is called I am, just like this world. You know, we think we're separate, yet when you see two people wave to each other, everybody actually, their name is I am. So it's I am waving to I am. And so when you love others, you're just loving yourself. It's because we're completely one. And that's the point I'm trying to get across, is that the inner man and the outer man are one. It's not that you have to loop your scene a million times or, fall asleep in the perfect feeling and make sure you don't feel negative emotions or whatever emotions that you deem are negative. It's not impressing the subconscious and thinking you're trying to trick it in order for it to work. It's about you. It's always been about you. You know you're tricking yourself. And when I say you, I mean the inner you. It's not a knowledge issue, and it's not a feeling issue. It's an acceptance issue. One must accept that the fact is that they are the inner man, and that this body is a shadow. When you look to the ground when the sun's rays are on you, and you look to the ground, you see your shadow. Imagine your shadow telling you that it's separate from you. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. The shadow can come up with all the reasons in the world and why it's separate, but it's not in the end. Likewise is the same here. So the issue is not that you must know you're the inner man or must come to sufficient knowledge after all these years of study. It's accepting the fact that you are the inner man, that you're one with the inner man. And the inner man lives in a world called imagination, which reflects him. He's surrounded by himself. He's surrounded by his own image. But the inner man, is not bound by conditions. He's not bound by the senses. He's not bound by time. He is free of all fear. He is, if you will, the God in imagination. Now, the point I'm trying to get across, and what Neville, in some sense, got across to me through his lectures, was that we're one with it. That we aren't separate by any means. That the imaginative hands and the imaginative, feet that you see in your mind, yourself, that is you. You are one with that. You aren't separate. And understanding this It's really not understanding. It's actually just accepting it. It's just true. I can't reason your way into it. It's just true. You are the inner man. And the inner man isn't bound by time. The inner man looks at the senses and the walls in front of it, and it doesn't care. The moment you want to feel you want to be something in the mind, it's fulfilled. The inner man's always fulfilled. So what we must do is imitate the inner man. We must see that we already are the inner man. And by seeing that we are the inner man, believing itself to be this outer man of limitation, we can then start to feel more limitless. It's simply a reversal of things. Is instead of calling your inner self fiction and imaginary and to dismiss it that way, you in some level just take it more serious. You just accept that it's true. That this inner man is not bound by the rules of the world. He does not care what the situation is. The inner man has no conditions that he must meet in order to assume anything. All things in this world are his. But that's you, the awareness of being. We're all wearing masks. And this body truly, as Neville says, is a garment. And this might not be the message that you might want to hear, in the sense that I'm not speaking about materialistic objects, but I find this very important to me, that this reversal of identification with the inner man is freeing. It truly is. Because the inner man's not bound by the when and the how. The inner man doesn't reason. It doesn't use language in that sense. Language is limiting in so many ways. The moment it feels it wants to be something, and automatically I find myself in new scenarios reflecting that. But then I doubt it. It's because I doubt it because I don't see that I'm one with the inner man. If I just simply see that I'm one with it, then I am it. And the inner man is the cause of everything in the world of imagination, which is you. And the idea that there's something outside of you is the biggest lie of all. That we're the cause of all our thoughts and feelings, and that's our life. And the nature by which we shape ourselves dictates the nature of those thoughts and our reactions to them. But I'm merely asking to try to accept the fact that it's true, that you're one with it. Don't try to reason. Instead, go to something that's not limiting, like speech. Speech is so limiting. Go to feeling. Feeling is limitless. Start to feel what you want to feel and realize how limitless the feeling is. And let yourself expand beyond something you're a bit uncomfortable with the feeling you desire. And you'll see the inner man is limitless and requires no conditions. The inner man does not require the senses to accept anything. The inner man's free. And the more you identify with yourself, your inner self, who doesn't need to fear because everything's reflecting them, doesn't need to fear because they are the one in control of it all. They're the one who, I'm the one who wounds myself and I'm the one who heals myself. I do both, fully. And that frees man by seeing he is the inner man who is creating this entire drama. And if you're listening to this, I think that you've been somebody who's questioned a lot in your life. I know I have. And if this resonates with you, then I guess simply, as it did with me with Neville, take it seriously and see what it's like to feel yourself to be one with the inner man. That's all acceptance is. It's simply, don't argue with it. When the inner man tells you, the inner man's a redeemer, the inner man's a savior, it saves you from the senses. It's a savior. So the imagination's not there to shame you. It's not there to spark fear into you. We're the ones who do that. But the inner man when you start to associate yourself with it, you'll see that there's nothing to fear because it's all you. So I hope that helps.